The image you see behind me is of a baby girl that goes by the name of Mikayla Miller. She was 16 years old. She lived in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. She was found dead the other day. Some people say she was tied to a tree. Others say that she was hung from a tree. And others say that she was just hanging from a tree. Either way, whatever happened to her, absolutely, in my opinion, had something to do with what happened to her hours prior to her death. I'm going to give you guys a short news clip, but during this news clip, I want you to keep in mind that nobody has been arrested yet. Check this video out, like and subscribe. Let's get into it.
Mikayla's death is an unspeakable tragedy.
Middlesex County DA Marion Ryan calling the death last month of 16-year-old Mikayla Miller tragic. Miller, a student and athlete at Hopkinton High School, was found dead the morning of April 18th. Her family had taken to social media, saying she was ambushed the day before and found hours later tied to a tree. Concerns over Miller's death have gone viral on social media, following posts from the group Violence in Boston. One post says Miller was murdered and it's a cover-up.
Regarding the notion that this office has in some way neglected Mikayla's case, or worse, so much worse, is engaged in some sort of cover-up, is patently false.
The DA provided a timeline of the hours before Miller's death. After 5 o'clock on Saturday the 17th, there was an encounter in the clubhouse at Mikayla's apartment complex involving her and 4 other teens. Her mother called police after 7 p.m. Officers noticed Mikayla had a bloody lip and she told them she'd been pushed and punched. After 9 o'clock, a fitness tracker in Mikayla's phone shows she left her building.
That phone indicated that between 9 and 10 p.m. on Saturday night, the phone traveled a distance of 1,316 steps. That distance of 1,316 steps is approximately the distance between Mikayla's home and the place where her body would subsequently be located.
Her body discovered hanging in a tree by a jogger at around 7 a.m. on Sunday. Using cell phones, surveillance video, and E-ZPass data, the DA says they confirmed the 4 teens involved in the altercation were not in the area. Mikayla's phone was found on her. Her backpack was nearby. Investigators are now awaiting forensic testing and the medical examiner's report on the cause of Mikayla's death.
For one moment in time, I want you to just think of yourself as this 16-year-old girl, just for a second. You're a 16-year-old girl. You're at your place of residence where you're supposed to feel the most safe, where you're supposed to be the most comfortable at. You just got viciously assaulted by 4 to 5 different people, male and female, mind you. You just got beat, blood everywhere. So you do what a good citizen is supposed to do and call the police. You call the police. Your parents pay taxes. You believe in the rule of law. You understand that you was just assaulted. Your life was just in danger. So you call the police expecting justice. They show up. They have a conversation with you and they have a conversation with them, but nobody's arrested. Nobody's locked up. Imagine the fear that must be pumping through your body right now. You just call the cops on a gang of people. You just call the cops on a gang that knows where you live, not only knows where you live, has shown you that they are willing to touch you where you live. They just viciously assaulted you. Your life was in danger. You call the cops and nobody's in handcuffs. You're scared as hell. You're petrified. You don't know what to do. And from that point is where all the questions happen. Now, some people say that this girl was found tied to a tree. And for some reason, they don't want to release that information right now.
Hey, District Attorney, both WBZ and the mother of Mikayla have asserted that upon finding her dead, she was tied to a tree. Is that true? What were those circumstances?
We are continuing that piece of the investigation as to the cause, manner, and death, any injuries. That is something we await from the results of the medical examiner. We're not.
But was she
commenting
was,
at this point.
with respectfully, she was either tied to a tree or she wasn't tied to a tree.
We're not
Pardon me?
commenting.
I'm sorry.
We're not commenting.
So, Monica,
Even if it's found that the girl did this to herself, she probably felt hopeless. She probably felt like, oh my God, I can get beat on where I stay, call the police, and nothing happens. She probably felt like there was no way out for her. She probably felt like, what am I going to do now? How am I going to continue to live? Plus, we don't know what other issues was going on with her. We don't know what other things, personal demons she may have had. We all got them. And she's a young baby. She's a 16-year-old girl. You remember how you was when you were 16. You don't know. Everything's changing. Hormones are moving. You don't know how to deal with life. But when you think you're doing the right thing, nothing happens. Now you got to live and watch over your back every time you walk outside your house. That's no way to live. Somebody should have been arrested. Think about it like this. Your daughter was assaulted. Police did nothing. Then she's found dead and they claim it's a suicide. Automatically, you're going to automatically think, no, those people that beat on her had definitely had something to do with this. Go investigate them. And then when it comes out that that's not the situation, you go to cover up mode. But none of this would have been the case if somebody would have just got arrested for the assault and battery in the first place. She pointed out names. You guys talked to them. You see where they live. There's no marks on them. Why wasn't people arrested? If somebody was arrested, she probably would have felt like justice was served. If somebody was arrested, she probably would have been safer from whatever was out there that was out to get her. Because clearly there was somebody, there was a group, there was a gang out there out to get her. I don't trust what's coming out of the police department because you guys already failed this baby girl. You guys should have locked somebody up when she called the police. That's what should have happened. But because you guys didn't do that, now everything you say from this point on, I got to look with a side eye. I got to look at with a sense of suspicion. You did it to yourselves. They're asking for an FBI investigation.
A victim statement saying I was beat and you believing that there's a crime is not enough to file charges against individuals that you acknowledge committed a crime. Everything about this case has been a lack of transparency and insinuates that something is being hidden or covered up. And for those reasons, we're demanding an independent investigation and it be taken out of DA Ryan's office.
Was she tied to the tree or not? That is a simple question. The DA is willing to answer all these other questions about the investigation. The DA is having press conferences and news interviews, which is great. But the one question that would literally kill all of this noise, was she tied to the tree or was she hanging from the tree? They don't want to answer. Now, I do understand why police departments don't want to answer certain questions. Usually when they're trying to find a suspect, they want a suspect to admit, they don't want it to be in the media. You know what I'm saying? Like, we watch First 48. We know what time it is. But my issue is she admitted everything else. She told us that there was 4 to 5 people, males, she told us everything else. She said, oh yeah, we tracked her Fitbit. She took a walk down the block and then blah, blah, blah. Like, she was willing to tell us everything else, but the one part that mattered, which makes me believe that there's something going on. I'm not going to call it a cover up because at some point they got to tell you what's going on. The medical examiner is doing the investigation, but you're not going to sit here. You're going to tell me everything about this case, but the one thing that matters, something's going on. Because if she was hanging from a tree, okay, it's still a problem. It's still an issue. She was probably depressed at what was going on before with the people that jumped her in her own place. But if she was tied to the tree, then that means somebody tied her to a tree. You can't hang yourself and tie yourself to a tree at the same time. We all know physics. It just don't work like that. So these are the answers that people are asking for. And this is why they don't trust the police department to give them these answers, because that's the same police department that didn't make an arrest in the first place when she called them the first time. So that's the story with this case, man. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on the story. Like I said, man, let's keep calm heads. Let's keep cool heads. The information has to come out. It's not, it has to come out. I'm sure that they took pictures. I'm sure there's, these calls for an independent investigation. I'm not mad at it, but let's relax and let's see what the situation is. But I'm definitely giving these police the side eye right now. Definitely a side eye. Nobody was arrested, and you're telling us everything else but what we want to know. So something's going on. We need answers. That's how I feel about the situation. Rest in peace. And the rest of you guys, breathe easy.
Breathe easy.
Louder. All right. Maybe not that loud.